Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is yuyun.regita Cahyani, and for the first, I'd like to say thank you for the chance that has been given to me. So today I will explain my material. It's about the psychological reality of phonological and semantic representation that I deserve into some point. So without any further ado, let's move to the topic. Okay, psycholinguistic studies of grammar also have dealt with the psychological reality of phonological and semantic representation. In fact, the psychological, or that is, perceptual reality of the phoneme was assumed by many linguists even before the birth of psycholinguistic and transformational generative grammar. Okay, the first point that is distinctive features and markedness. In an experiment designed to explore the perception of distinctive features, and then Greenberg and Jenkins asked subjects to judge the similarity of paired comparison involving the following English segments P, F, K, B, D, and G. For instance, the subject was asked to assign a rating to the distance between the epiglottal segments of the pairs Pa and Ba, Ga, and Pa, and so on. The data were then correlated with the distinctive features that constitute the segments. Greenberg and Jenkins found that sounds differing in only one distinctive feature, were regularly judged to be more similar than sounds differing in two distinctive features. Okay, and then the data also reflected the basic facts of articulation. Labials were perceived to be more similar to alveolars than alveolars were to velars, and alveolars were perceived to be more similar to velars than labials were to velars. The most important feature in judgment of similarity is voicing. Sound that agree in the feature voice were regularly judged to be more similar than sounds agreeing in the future voice. This fact support the greater psychological weight of mark as opposed to unmark. Okay, so we move to the second point is about the lexicon and memory. Okay, so guys, one of the major experiments dealing with the psychological reality of phonological and semantic representation was Brown and MC Niles. Uh, 1966 investigation of the tip of the tongue phenomenon. That is the unsettling state of mind that occurs when we have difficulty thinking of a particular word that we are certain we know, yang kita tahu. In the experiment, a list of definition of uncommon words were read until one elicited the tip of the tongue state. When the subject acknowledged that they were in such a state, their guesses at the correct word were not. The subject guesses resound the desired word either in sound or meaning. Thus, if the desired word were sextant, the navigation instrument is in measuring angular distances, especially the altitude of sun, moon, stars at the sea, and so on. Some typical guesses will be astorable and compass or two-syllable words such as secant and sextet. The nature of these erroneous guesses provides some indication of how words and definition are stored in long-term our memory. In fact, that the subject produced words similar in meaning to the desired word implies that the semantic representation of words intersect to some degree and are stored together in our memory. It would be compatible with the standard interpretive theory of transformational generative grammar that what these words have in common are semantic markers or features. And then The second point is about language acquisition atau penekanan bahasa. Learning is a first language is about as natural to humans as walking upright. Humans have been able to devise impressive linguistic models that describe and attempt to expand their knowledge of language. In light of this fact, it is rather disheartening to admit how little we understand about the origin of language and the nature of language acquisition. Okay, talking about the origin of language, we know very little. Our earliest records of language reveal no such thing as a primitive language. Instead, they indicate that language has always been as complex as it is today. And then you can say is that the evolution of language was intimately related to the evolution of the human mind, evolusi dalam pikiran manusia. With regard to language acquisition, we have access to more data and can perform psycholinguistic experiments with young children. As a result, it is possible to provide the following account of the typical progression by which a child learns language. Bahasa yang mana anak-anak pelajaran. Oke, poin yang keempat yaitu phonological acquisition. By the age of 6 months, the child has entered the babbling period or pre-language state in which almost any sound can conceivably be produced. This babbling period allows the child to develop articulatory powers. By the end of the rudiments of the phonological system are evident. Okay, normally the first vowel produced with regularity is a low, somewhat from vowels such as a or a, and the first consonant is generally a bilabial stop such as p or b. Okay, the acquisition of additional sound continues with the development of a nasal consonant in opposition to the oral consonant. This explains why mama and papa are early occurrences in English as well as in many other languages. However, these words are not originally uttered with the meaning mother and father. They may simply indicate some physical or emotional need of the child and are only associated with mother and father to the parents' encouragement afterward. Um, and then mama can use to mean anything from where is mama? That is mama. Mama, I'm hungry. Throughout the entire period of phonological acquisition, contrasts are perceived that cannot be produced. For example, the child may acknowledge the difference between papa and baba, while only being able to produce baba. Okay, next point is the two-word stage. Naturally, the child should use his or her first words to describe the immediate environment, including such objects as ball, milk, and dog, and will guess generally at the meanings of these words and how to use them. For instance, dog may be used to refer to all animals. Its meaning is narrow leather. Early in the second year of life, the child will produce 50 or more these one-word utterances. They may be used to indicate roles, such as agent or affected object as well as the object themselves. Okay, next, the sixth point is syntactic acquisition. Following the two-word stage, children add morphological endings, articles, proposition, and so on their speech. This acquisition of syntax takes place by testing. For example, a child may hypothesize that the past tense ending for all English verbs is ed. thus producing such forms as quote and sing. In fact, the correct forms may be produced before the appearance of cut and sing through a random imitation. The correct forms appear with regularity only when the child learns that go and sing are irregular forms that do not take ed. Between the ages of 2 and the child develops a more complete syntactic system and is often able to correct incomplete or misconstructed sentences that he or she has misuttered. The development of this syntactic system continues with the appearance of complex sentences at about the age of 3. And then, complex sentences allow the combination of several meanings or propositions within a sentence through syntactic devices such as relativization, coordination, and so on. As the child's syntax develops, he or she also expresses increasingly complex messages. The expression of the desire for a cookie progress from cookie to I want a cookie to eat. Well, I want cookie. It will be nice to have a cookie. In the first case, the child simply utters the word cookie, expressing a basic need of hunger. So, regarding that things, we can conclude that first, in the second case, the child is able to express his or her relation to the cookie and actually verbalize the desire. Second, in the third case, he or she can express a state that would result from having a cookie and make a weaker, more polite request that may be more influential. By the end of the fourth year, the child has mastered many of the phonological results of the adult grammar. By the age of 5 or 6, the child has more or less incorporated the adult grammar, although the refinement certainly continues for some time thereafter. Um, okay, I think that's all my material. I'm sorry if there is a mistake or wrong of pronunciation because I'm just human being. And then thanks for your attention and wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.